that for a while.
Amazing.
I had to ask his wife.
And this is why prenups are so important.
Keeping us on
I
track,
wasn't
Michael.
in the deal.
Yeah. Their clients, if they will, and be able to come to an agreement.
Well, let's first start out at the beginning, because you draft a prenup and you're supposed to do it the right way, which means in order to do a proper prenup, you need to have disclosures. So when people get married, they may have things already. Usually prenups are for people that have already either businesses or property, real property, bank accounts, significant amount of funds. I mean, so one person usually needs to protect their assets. And if a prenup is done properly, all of those assets are disclosed so that you can then trace the money that, let's say, if you sell a property that you owned before marriage and you have a valid prenup, and that money gets placed in a separate account and doesn't get commingled with anything that might smell community. As long as it's done the right way, and that comes from who you hire to do your prenup first, because that person will say, well, you're going to have to in the future, if you sell this property, that money needs to go somewhere else so that it's not commingled with what may be community. Then you can go ahead and buy another piece of property and you've got a proper tracing. So that way, if, God forbid, you get to the point of having a divorce, you've got a clear line, it becomes less of an argument. Where it becomes an argument, or where a receiver or a partition expert would come in, is when you didn't have it done properly in the first place.
Gotcha.
And so that becomes, well, I didn't know that existed, or I didn't understand that if I sold that and the money went into the joint bank account, that would not be easily traceable, and it gets mucked up along the way, especially if you're married a really long time. If you're married a few years, it's probably a little easier to find the start.
Yeah,
if
right.
you're married 47 years, it might be a little harder to unwind it all and say, well, what did you do with that original dollar that you had framed?
Right.